Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you. Thank you for coming over from Graz's Live. It's really good to see everyone. Tech Death, I've got to thank you for the wonderful music that you did for me for my opening. It's absolutely beautiful. I love it. Thank you so very much. Um, Welcome, Graz. Hey, Annie. It's so good to see you here. AJ, same to you, my dear. Thank you. Faye, hello. Welcome. Mbake, it's good to see you back again. Thank you for joining. Um, so what we're going to do tonight is I have a video that I'm going to be dropping on my channel later, but I thought that we might uh, watch that if I can figure out how to share it. So just bear with me for one moment and let me see if I can get this up. I was going to ask, I'm still reeling from Graz's live because it was so good. It was such a good amount of information regarding the Dropbox and the predators and all of it. I what an awesome job, Graz, for doing all that research and bringing that to our attention. Um, I really believe that there's a lot of stuff like that out there that none of us are really aware of as far as how prevalent it is in our society, and it's just crazy. It just really sends you reeling. That whole thing about that priest, I had to step out of the room. I couldn't. I was like, "Oh my Lord." So, anyway, let me see if I can get my screen to share with us. Mhm. Did I put it? Um, Sorry, guys. Hold on. I'm having some issues here. I'm not sure what I just did on my channel, so just bear with me for a second. I'm so sorry. Okay, well, I'm back. I'm still not having any luck getting this to play, so um, I guess I will hold on a second. Let me see if I can. One of these days, I'm going to figure out how this works. um, so just bear with me. I'm so sorry about this. So this is the video that I am going to premiere on my channel later, and it's called Delphi-Evil Is Among Us, and I'm going to talk about sketches and how the police use them and give us some insight about them. So I'm just going to go ahead and play the video, and I may stop it and speak, but we'll just watch it together. When it comes to linking suspects to a crime, a victim's memory is often one of the first tools used by police. Agencies like the Houston Police Department often turn those memories into sketches after interviewing eyewitnesses and release the drawings to the public to help find suspected criminals. For years, the Houston Police Department had one of the most successful forensic artists in the country drawing their sketches. Lois Gibson spent decades working for the Houston Police Department, and in 2004, she estimated her sketches had helped nab nearly 1,000 criminals, according to the Houston Chronicle. She also recorded in the Guinness World Book of Records as the world's most successful forensic artist. Gibson said in the article that she uses empathy with victims to make them feel comfortable, which allowed them to give her details from memory banks often clouded by fear and trauma. Gibson said her composites help catch about 3 out of 10 suspects, a figure that mirrors the standard 30% success rate for all forensic sketches. This is the only art I know of that you can do pretty badly, goofy or sloppy, but if it catches the person, it becomes perfect. I do apologize. That's supposed to say serial killer and not sleuth. I do apologize for that. Gibson said in 2004. Gibson has also found that the most unlikely sources can lead to the quickest arrests. She told the Chronicle in 2014 that police often dismiss young children when it comes to details of a suspect, since they are usually bad at describing age and height. But Gibson found that young children can often give the best description of faces. Law enforcement thinks that drawings need to be perfect, but they're wrong, she said. I have drawings in my sketchbook that are embarrassing, but they still caught the person immediately. When you see a police sketch of a criminal suspect in the news, it means that the detectives have next to no information about the person they're looking for. And all they usually have is that memory, as we've already talked about. But when we look at the sketches of these serial killers in my video, go back and just pay attention to them. Do you feel that they look or resemble the actual suspect? I think that we place a lot of emphasis on sketches, and we think that we're looking for the exact person in that sketch, because as Doug Carter has told us, it's not a photograph. It depicts certain elements of a face, whether it be the eyes or the nose, the mouth, things like that. But they're not going to always be an identical photograph of the person. And we know that evil lives among us in these people and their sketches. And when we look at that and we try to think about Bridge Guy and the fact that we have two sketches, it really can muddy the water regarding our case. The two faces of Bridge Guy is the way I like to describe it, because we really do have two faces of Bridge Guy. And I believe that when you take those faces, as Doug Carter said, and place one face upon the other, that's how Bridge Guy is going to appear to us when he's finally revealed. And I don't believe that it will be just a photo resemblance. I definitely think that we need to keep that in mind when we're looking at these sketches, and not to put as much emphasis on them as some people want to. And the only reason I'm saying that is because eyewitness testimony is notoriously full of inconsistencies and problems. Our memories just don't recall the way we think they do. And that's been proven over time. You can have someone walk in a room and then walk out and ask all the people in the room to describe the person's facial features and what they were wearing, and you're going to get 15 to 20 different descriptions of that individual. It's just the way it is. With that being said, I am going to show a photograph of Bridge Guy that has been altered. I found this photograph on Facebook this morning, but I believe it was from a YouTuber. But it was on Facebook is where I grabbed it. And this is pretty telling, because when you look at this and you put the two sketches sort of together, that's kind of what Bridge Guy was, or excuse me, Doug Carter was talking about doing with Bridge Guy. But I want a disclaimer put that this is not fact. This is not the sketch of the suspect. This was just an alteration of those two sketches. We have to be careful of tunnel vision. We have to be careful of putting ourselves into a box when we think about the sketches and this case. And we need to keep an open mind always. I want to tell everyone how much I appreciate everyone who's been supporting my channel. If you have any information regarding the suspect in the Delphi murders, please contact the Abby and Libby tip line. And also anything that has to do with the Anthony Schatz profile as well. Please call or tip that in. Don't put your information on social media first. Always send that information to law enforcement. It can really upset this case if you don't follow those directions. And we all want the same thing. We want this killer to be apprehended. So I'm going to end the video there. I hope that everyone has a a good understanding of what sketches are for because of my video. And I thank you all for showing up and watching. And as so, that is some of the information that I was able to find regarding sketches when I was doing some research, because I've noticed online that there's just been a lot of commentary and talk about the sketches, especially since Doug Carter's interviews. And I thought that it was important to understand that a lot of police or law enforcement individuals, when they are asked in interviews or for articles or whatever about how they feel about using police sketches, many of them will say that they are not the most accurate drawings. And just as um, the woman from the Houston Police Department said, she was the forensic artist, they don't have to be perfect for them to work. In the Delphi case, I think that there has been so much confusion around these sketches as to why they were released, when they were released. The second sketch is actually the first sketch that was drawn just a couple of days after the murders. Where did that image come from? And one of the things that I found when I was going back through my own research that I've done for the last 5 years this morning was there was a interview about that sketch after it was released in 2019, and they said Kim Riley was the one who gave the interview, and 4 times during that interview, he misspoke and said she when speaking about the witness that gave the young bridge guy sketch. So I'm pretty confident that we can say that a woman is the witness who gave us the sketch of young bridge guy. Now, when I say that, and I'm talking about that right now, I know that there's been a lot of contradiction because Kelsey came out herself and said that it was technology and information over time. And I believe that Doug Carter said the exact same thing, that they got the sketch because of information over time. So why there's been so much confusion around the sketches, I wish I could answer that for everyone. Why we don't have law enforcement on the same page. One detective will give one opinion or statement, and another one will give another one. And it has just convoluted and muddied the whole conversation regarding these sketches. But what I do know about the sketches and what Doug Carter has said since day one is that these sketches that have been put out for the Delphi murders are not for the general population. I'm going to say that again. Those sketches are not for the general population. Those sketches were done and the video was released because they want the people who know Bridge Guy, who work with Bridge Guy, who live next door to Bridge Guy, who shop with him at the grocery store, sit with him in church on Sunday. They want those people to come forward because that's what they believe. Somebody knows who he is, and you're going to recognize him if he's your father, if he's your uncle, if he's your brother, if he's your grandfather. That's what they were trying to say. And they didn't intend for social media to go grab these sketches and start running around on social media trying to put them side by side other people and saying this is bridge guy. I mean, that's not, Doug Carter has told us over and over for the past 5 years, that's not what they wanted us to do. So I know it's hard. I've done it. We've all done it. We've all looked at someone or their picture that's floated around on social media and said, my Lord, he looks just like the sketch. Um, it happens. So I think that one of the things we need to realize is that when it comes to linking suspects to a crime, a victim's memory is often one of the first tools used by police, but sadly, it's one of the worst things they can use because our memories are not reliable. And they've proven that with so much research. So I think that, um, we just need to keep all of those things in mind. Now, I will also say this, that when you are talking about sketches, or if you have an altered sketch or you've done something to a sketch, it is wrong to sit out there and not tell someone that you've altered it, or to produce it and make it seem like it's something that could be factual in nature. So I want to make sure that I'm very clear on that. There should be some sort of a disclaimer. You need to make sure that you're doing it in a um, honest way with integrity, so that you don't make people think that somehow this sketch has become a fact, or this sketch has become bridge guy, because it's really something that can hurt this case. And I know that I will take a lot of flack for being the fact channel. But that's why I did this. That's why I decided to do YouTube, was because I wanted more factual information to be being presented for Abby and Libby's case. Um, so I also want to say welcome to Chihuahua Dawson. She's been here for every one of my lives. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And what is, hang on a second. What'd she say here? She just found out on True Crime Jesus that Libby's sister deleted apps off Libby's phone hours after it was found, a detrimental mistake. And how did law enforcement not have it? Well, I don't know. I haven't heard any of that before, but I'll tell you what, True Crime Jesus is one of the absolute best YouTubers out there for this case, in my opinion. And so I have not had a chance yet to watch his new video, but I certainly will be doing that. So I'll be looking into all of that too. And welcome, Lipsha Morrissey. Thank you for stopping in today. Welcome back, Donald Spain. It's good to see you. Hello, Bettina A. I see that everybody's found True Crime Jesus's video, and I know that I've been waiting for it, and I know a lot of people have been. So I'm really glad that he dropped it and that we can get to see that too. But I know that there's been, like I said, a lot of stuff going around in just the last few days to the last week on the sketches, and a lot of talk. So I wanted to address it and try to let people know why and how law enforcement feels about them. Um, most of the time when we see the police sketch used, it's because they don't know much about the suspect or anything, and they have an eyewitness, or they have a victim, and they're trying to get information from them to build a suspect from. So with us, and with our case, we have a video, believe it or not. And I still say that that's one of the most ironic things about Abby and Libby's case, Libby had the wherewithal to record Bridge Guy and get us that video and that audio, and we can't see his face. And I just, it's just gut wrenching to me because, she did everything in her power to try to help us. Um, and, and we can't see a clear picture of his face. And that is just irony at its worst, as far as I'm concerned. But, what did, hang on a second. I'm just checking the chat real quick. Um, Yeah, whoever's wanting to be out there in the chat and is talking about Ron Logan, I appreciate it that you feel that way. And that's all fine and good. But please don't do that in my channel, because he just passed away. And I firmly believe that law enforcement vetted him completely, as did the FBI. I believe that if Ron Logan was responsible, he would have been in jail. Um, I don't think it would have been that hard for them to prove that if he had been responsible. So that's my opinion on Ron Logan. And because he has passed away, I think we need to show him respect, and you can go somewhere else to do that. So that's what I will have to say. So, um, the other thing I wanted to say is I want to give a shout out real quick to Real Chill Graz, who is in my channel at the moment, because he reached 5,000 subscribers this week, which is a huge, huge, huge accomplishment. And I am so proud of that for him. So happy, because his channel is one of the best out there. And if you haven't had a chance, if you're not somebody who has followed him, you need to go over there and make sure that you do. Carol, I saw your your chat post when I first started my live, and I didn't get a chance to say anything. So welcome. And it is a sad irony that it's just sad all the way around. There's just so many different things about this case that are just kind of unbelievable, if you ask me. And so, you know, I didn't want to go on and on and on tonight. I just really wanted to talk about the sketches and the importance of them, because I do think they serve a purpose in our case, obviously. But I do think that a lot of people put a way too much weight on them. And I'm constantly hearing people talking about Kagan Anthony Klein and his father, now that we have the new information that came out on December 6th, say that there's absolutely no way that he's Bridge Guy. He doesn't fit the physical description. Well, first of all, Kagan was not the size that he is today in 2017. I firmly believe he was closer to 230 pounds, somewhere around there. And one of his friends did an interview and said, and I think it was on Anthony Greeno's channel, if I remember right, a call in, and said that she had grown up with him, and he always was fluctuating in his weight, especially through high school and his early years after he got out of high school. So it wouldn't be hard for him to drop 50 pounds or 70 pounds or whatever. And once he was incarcerated, I think he just put on some weight as well, because he looks larger to me there than he did even back in his photos on Facebook from back in 2017. And so with that being said, I do think that he could possibly fit the description of Bridge Guy. We just don't know. And for us to come out and say that we know and that something is a fact, I'm just tired of that. I'm really tired of people saying that. Well, it just can't be him. You don't know that. And it's that way really with most everyone. that's out there that possibly could be considered a suspect. We just don't know. Um, uh, so I'm just looking at my chat here. Hang on one second. I don't know what's going on here with Spain wins numero one, but um, let's see. Welcome, Gemma. Thank you for stopping in tonight. Yes, exactly. He was. And he also has thinner legs. So if you look at his body type or whatever, he carries it through his midsection, his weight anyway. Um, so I just think that what we're probably going to find when we finally catch this monster, and he's shown to us for the first time, is that we're going to see a combination of both sketches, just like um, Doug Carter has told us. And I think we will also be extremely shocked. I keep saying that about, because it's just always bothered me when they said that we will be shocked when he's revealed. And so when I'm thinking about a possible suspect, that comes to mind. What's going to be shocking? Is it shocking? Is it going to be shocking because he's a member of the community that's hiding in plain sight, who just is going about his daily life and everybody knows him and possibly has interacted with him and even interacted with the families and the family members? Is it somebody that the family members have had come in contact with? Is it a friend? Is it somebody who did work for them? Um, all of those questions come to mind for me. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but to me, um, those are all kinds of questions that I have about Bridge Guy. But with what we know and that's come out with the Anthony Shots profile, it leads me more to believe that this was certainly a catfishing situation or scenario with the girls. And I believe that Bridge Guy got Libby's information, and that's how he knew that she was going to be at the bridge that day. I She may very well have been chatting with the person that she thought was Anthony Shots, the model. Um, Maybe she, in conversation, told him that she was going out on a hike at a bridge, whatever. And two and two were put together. I believe that that's what happened. I don't believe necessarily that they were going there to meet someone. I don't. Um, and the reason for that is I know how I was when I was that age. And if I, for any reason, thought that I was going to go meet some cute boy, I would not have wore sweatpants and some scrushy t-shirt. I would have made sure that I was kind of dressed a little bit better and than that, and would have done up my hair and stuff like that. And I don't think any of that happened with them that day. They just kind of went out there as two friends going out to take photos and have fun. So, and again, we might all be super shocked when we find out how exactly it all played out, and I know that we will. um I'm absolutely positive, um Caesar, that he's very familiar with the area. um the way that that man went across that bridge with his hands not out along his body to balance himself, and just practically racing across that bridge, and as fast as he made it across to the girls, um, tells me that he's been across that bridge a lot. Um, and so that tells me that he is very familiar with the area, probably lives in the area, or he lived in the area when he was younger for whatever reason. That's the other thing about Delphi that I constantly hear. He's not local. He's not local. he can still be local and live 100 miles away from Delphi, in my opinion. um, Anything that's an hour away or an hour and a half away from Delphi, that's not that far. And if he did grow up in Delphi and live somewhere else in Indiana or in Illinois or Ohio or Michigan, any of the surrounding areas, it wouldn't be that hard for him to obviously know the area and remember things. But I definitely think that they were being um, stalked, and I agree with Graz here because I had thought about this when Kelsey had her interview with uh, the Jason Hebert interview, um, and was it Jason Hebert? Sorry, somebody help me out in chat. Who was the interview that she had? I think it was Jason Hebert's videos. But anyway, he met her at the um, ice cream shop where she worked, and they talked about things. And I thought to myself a couple of different things there. I was like, what if this person saw the girls there? Because Kelsey talks about taking one of Libby's favorite things was ice cream. She loved ice cream. And well, I mean, who of us doesn't really? But anyway, she loved ice cream and she used to take her for ice cream. And that was Renner. That's right. Um, it wasn't Hebert. It was Renner's video. Um, but yeah, James Renner. Or I think. Um, but what if somebody was watching them and saw them? Uh, that to me would be a stalking situation. And I was talking to True Crime Maria just yesterday, and one of the things that we were bouncing back and forth is another thing that's not talked about with this is the fact that Libby was taking classes at Purdue, and Purdue's just down the road from Delphi. Thank you, Jerry Ball. Welcome. Very welcome. Welcome to my channel. And I'm really glad that you're here. Thank you, Tamara. Thank you so much for correcting me. It's Jeremy Renner. Um, but anyway, she was taking classes down at Purdue, and that really opens you up to all kinds of people, um, that could have been stalking her or seen her or whatever. And so yeah, I think that there's a lot of people who, when you say local, they think they just mean the city limits of Delphi, and I don't think that that's the truth. But um, Jerry, I agree with you. I pray for justice for Abby and Libby every single day. Um, I wake up thinking about these girls and go to bed thinking about them because I spend so much time dedicated to their case between my subreddit and now my YouTube channel. But I think we're all there. We all want the same thing. We want the girls' killer to be put away, and um, so what's the confusion here, Cesar? What's the confusion that you have if the bodies were hidden and then put into the position they were found? Hidden where? You think they were taken somewhere? Law enforcement has told us over the years that the girls were killed in the spot that they were found. So, um, welcome, Sleuth Intuition. Thanks for joining. Um, Okay, I'm not sure what she was taking, but she was in accelerated classes, and she was taking a class at Purdue. Um, Purdue is not a small college by any sense of the word. Um, but yeah, I think she was doing it on Saturday mornings, or Saturdays is when she was taking the class. And I also know that she was one of the things that I love to talk about Libby is that she had grown a love for welding, and she was a welder. She was learning how to weld, and I thought that that was interesting because that is something that you don't think of when you think of a 14-year-old girl wanting to be interested in welding, and I just thought that was pretty cool about Libby. Um, let's see. Carol, that's a really good point. Um, that is definitely a good point. Um, AJ, thank you for putting that out there. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it or want to go look at the Kelsey interview with James Renner, you can here. AJ was kind enough to put that uh, link up here for us, so I really appreciate that. Yeah, that's what I heard, Lipsha, that it was science classes of some kind that she was taking. So she wanted to be a science teacher. So that was one of the things that she wanted to do. Um, so, hi, Faye. I didn't know you were here. Did you just get here? Or did I miss you? Or have you just been being quiet? Because I just now saw you. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. James Renner is a person who did interviews. He came to Delphi and did interviews of all of the family. He interviewed Mike and Becky Patty. He interviewed Anna Williams and Kelsey, and he did it over a number of days. And the interviews that he did are pretty telling. It's really good information. So if you get a chance to watch them, you should, especially if you're really wanting to follow the case. Basically, if oh, I see. You thought you'd heard it, but you weren't sure if it was true. Thanks, Donald. I didn't know that. James Renner is uh, a true crime author. Jerry Ball, thank you so much for stopping in. You have a great night, and God bless you too. Thank you for showing up. I didn't know that about James Renner. I just know that I've heard a lot of people say that they either like him or they don't like him, and I didn't know why. But I thought he did a fine job with interviewing them. So, okay, Faye, I get it. I understand. Not a problem. Um, hey, Snail, good to see you again tonight. Very, very good to see you. Hey, Maria. And more. It's good to see you again. Thank you for coming. So do you guys have any feelings about the sketches, or what your take is on the fact that we have the two faces of Bridge Guy, and um, how the percentages of sketches are very low when it comes to identifying suspects or killers because of potential witnesses' memories being so bad? Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Or oh, cool, Donald. That's good to know. I may have to look him up because I'm always looking for some good true crime books to read. Yeah, his interviews were very good. I thought he was. I particularly liked his interviews with Anna, and the way they were. They were. I just thought they were all really personable and done well. Bye. Good night, Chihuahua. It's good that you showed up. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Be safe out there. Yeah, Faye, that's a truthful thing. I mean, I totally and absolutely get it. Um, I was just going off of what Doug Carter said in his interview that, if you place one over the other and then Bridge Guy's standing behind the photos and you drop them, then you're going to see it. You're going to see that he resembles both sketches. And I thought that that was quite interesting, the way he described that in his interviews. Um, No, tomorrow he teaches at the University of Indiana, I believe, or in Indianapolis. He's in a college at a college in Indianapolis, as far as I know. The person that you're speaking of. I think the whole thing is crazy, Caesar, as far as the fact that he um, committed the crime in broad daylight, leads me to believe that he is a human being that gets off on um, risk. He's a risk taker in real life. The more risk, the better. And I think that that's probably part of what was his satisfaction in this crime, was there was a lot of risk involved. Kathy, welcome, and I agree with you. I think that that's exactly what it will be, because it'll be the structures of the face is what we're going to see, and it's not going to be like a picture of them. And it's like when the video that I played at the beginning of this live, of my video that I'm dropping later tonight, if you look at that, if you look at those sketches of those serial killers next to their pictures, many of them don't look anything like those composite sketches. So, and again, it's subjective, because some people think that the young bridge guy sketch looks like um, the Kowalski uh, um, police officer in Alaska, and I don't see that at all. He doesn't look like that model. That sketch doesn't look like him, in my opinion, at all. So see, we see things differently. Everybody sees things in a different life, and um, I Frank, thank you again for joining. And I agree with you on that as well. I am really floored that 5 years later, somebody has not recognized this person. The more I think about it, I think there's a reason that nobody has. I think he has an alibi, and I think that that's where we're at with this. And in my opinion, I think that they're trying to break an alibi, but that's just me. I could be totally and absolutely wrong. Um, let's see. Good night, Caesar. Have a good evening. I'm not going to be here that much longer either, because it is late for sure. I wasn't planning on being this late, but I didn't want to interfere with Graz's live tonight. 5,000 subscribers. That's awesome. Um, I Yeah, I do. I agree, Faye. I totally do. I think someone is protecting him, or someone is afraid of him, and they know things and they're afraid. And when you've got somebody on the loose that's a double homicide killer, of those homicides are two young girls, that person is it's right to be afraid of them. I mean, I that's just the way I feel. I don't think that this guy would hesitate in hurting someone that he thought was going to take him down for this crime, because I think he's laughing at all of us, and he's sitting there saying, "Look, I got away with this." And I really do think that's what he does every single day. I think he looks at social media. I think he looks at what we're saying about him, what he reads about what we're talking about him, and yeah, I just think that that's who he is. And I know a lot of people have talked about that, and they've asked those questions. Is he here with us? Is he in our chats, or whatever? And believe you me, I believe he's there somewhere. And so um Country Girl, I think so too, and, that was another thing that always bothered me about the case in the very beginning, is the law enforcement, at least the 3 officers that did the interview together, all 3 of them had a different take on whether or not people should have any fear about what had just happened in their city, and, Kim Riley was the only one that had the fortitude to come out and say, "Yeah, you need to keep an eye on what your kids are doing, and especially online." And I think that that's extremely telling, because that was done before I believe that interview was done before they even identified the girls' bodies. So, I mean, I just think that they knew that there was something about social media early on, in my opinion, and something turned them away from that for a while, or it didn't, and we just didn't know about it, and they took us on a different path because they were busy doing their investigation. Um, I hope you're wrong, Frank. I really do. I would like to see this killer brought to justice. I don't believe it's a random guy by any sense of the word. I just don't. But so that's fine, Spain. It was glad to have you, and you don't have to come back. That's totally your choice. That's the wonderful thing about choice, is that you can choose to be here or not. Um, yeah, and Anon, a lot of people I think felt that way. A lot of people used to think that it was a crime of opportunity, and now I think they're believing more about what has been talked about. Charmaine, you're right. They do. They get overly confident and comfortable, and that's when everything begins to fall apart, and that's when they start to slip up. So, and that's another thing, Snail, because talking about the risk, how did he know? Maria and I were talking about that. True Crime Maria and I were talking about that yesterday, about how did he not know? I mean, they make it sound like the trail and the bridge is remote, but there's houses right there. People are saying that there were all of these people out there that day, walking and on the trails. How did he not know he was going to not be seen? I mean, it is crazy to me. Um, he was extremely calm. I think he showed little to no emotion, even in his voice. To me, there's little to no emotion. Um, and it's crazy. It's just crazy. Um, yeah, I hope there's justice. That's all I can say. Um, yes, Maria, you can definitely see the crime scene in the wintertime from the house at the southeast side of the bridge. And when there's no leaves on the trees, you can see right there. And that's just something to think about. So, but there's a lot of bad people out there. There's a lot of internet um, trafficking going on of um, child sexual abuse material, the sharing of it, the making of it, and it's just sickening. And I never realized how prevalent it is, especially um, in this small area in Indiana. It is just a nest and hotbed for sexual predators. And I'm just like, every day, more and more of them are being adjudicated in the court system in Indiana. And it's just like crazy. It's like, I don't know. And Peru, Indiana, especially. Um, I think it was Graz that played part of an episode of a TV comedy game show from Oz, where teams to looking at pictures of faces had to guess if they were musician or serial killers. So many got them wrong. It's the truth, because um, we're all looking for a monster, instead of the guy next door who cuts his bushes and talks to you while you're mowing your grass, or the man who sits next to you on the pew at church that you talk to and shake hands with every Sunday, or it's the bagger at the grocery store who carries your groceries out to the car for you, or whatever. I think it's easier for us to wrap our heads around the fact that this individual is some kind of a monster figure rather than just a normal, everyday looking type of person. It could be, like I said earlier in the live, your brother, your uncle, your cousin, your friend, your grandfather, your father. I mean, it can be any of those people. And Graz just showed on his live tonight the Predator station from Indiana, and they just had a 50-year-old man trying to meet a 13-year-old girl, and they caught him on the spot. And, there you are. You looked at that guy, you'd had no idea. I mean, if you'd have seen him just walking down the street, you'd have never known that he was into 13-year-old girls. That's the thing that's scary. These men hide behind their computers at home at night while the kids and the wives are sleeping, and they're doing all these nasty, horrific things. It's maddening. It really is. Yeah, Gemma, I'm glad I'm not at that. I don't have to worry about that anymore. I can't imagine being out there and being single and trying to have to, wade through all of that these days. I mean, it's just, and especially all the people who do the online dating stuff. To me, that's just super scary. I haven't gotten to watch it before, Kathy, but I heard about it and definitely going to be taking it in because I want to see it. I most definitely think that law enforcement knows who it is. I definitely do. And I do think that we'll see an arrest soon. I just have that feeling about it. I hope I'm right. I really do. But that's going to be a time that we're going to have to just wait to see and let it play out, because these cases don't always just wrap themselves up like a nice little bow and a package and hand themselves to the prosecution. It can take investigators a long, long time. And especially when there's child sexual abuse material involved, there is a lot of time and effort that takes to get this all put together. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Sleuth, I can see that. That should be the way it is in most households. Unfortunately, it's not. So, um, but yeah, I agree with you on that. Um, yep. Thank you, Frank. You're so welcome. I feel very strongly about the girls and um, keeping integrity and truth and honesty behind this case to help get Bridge Guy caught. And I know that law enforcement takes a ton of flack from this community all the time because people are so frustrated because they want the case to be solved. And I don't want to bash them for that because I understand that frustration. But at the same time, I think they need to look at the faces of those detectives because they certainly and absolutely care about this case. What those men and women walked upon that day and had to see in that woods um, with those two little girls lying there murdered, none of us would ever want to ever see because you can't unsee it once you see it. And I guarantee you, not one of them is out there thinking, well, I don't give a crap. I don't want to get this this guy caught, not one of them. So that's just the way I feel. And I do think that we found out really fast why in September, when they got the new building and everybody was wondering what that was for. I think we now know that they were onto something. They needed more space. They needed to have things locked down where they wouldn't have a lot of leaking going on. And I think that that's what we're seeing here. And when I look at Doug Carter and the smiles on his face, that man didn't smile for 5 years. I mean, he was so serious and now he's, looking in the camera, like, you're going to meet us soon. So I look forward to that day. It was really good to be with you guys tonight. I'm going to end my live here. I thank you all for coming and everyone who keeps supporting my channel. I appreciate you. As I've said before, I'm not here for subscribers. I'm not here to build a huge YouTube, following. I'm here because I have a really, really deep feeling about this case. I have since day one. The girls have just touched my heart for a number of different reasons, and so have the families. And what the families are going through on social media right now is horrific. There's so many people out there that are throwing them under the bus, and it just breaks my heart every day to see that. I can't imagine what that must feel like for them. So keep them in your prayers, if you will, and you guys all stay safe out there and keep pressing that Anthony Schatz profile as law enforcement has asked us to. Please keep doing that because that's what we need to be doing. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I'm so, so glad to have you all here and have these good conversations because that's what's important. AJ, thank you so much for being here and staying up with me. True Crime Maria, same. All my mods that are still here. I'm sorry it's so late. I love each and every one of you. You are all such wonderful people. And thank you guys for showing up. And I will talk to you very, very soon.